Yo, what's good everybody? Today we're going to talk about Terry's go meter, his comeback mechanic. So you want to be able to utilize his comeback mechanic to its fullest. My main problem whenever I see Terry mains is that whenever they get that go meter, once you get to 100% is when you activate go, by the way. But once they get to the go meter and they get go, they're so focused on trying to get their power geyser and trying to get their buster wolves that eventually their opponent is just waiting out for those attacks and ready to punish them. And the problem is with power geyser, right? I'm going to keep mashing down tilt after it. Buster wolf, I'm going to keep mashing down tilt after it. There's a lot of end lag. And once your opponent's looking for you to mash on these buttons, especially when these moves can be beaten by shield, you're gonna get caught lagging and die for that, because 9 times out of 10 you're gonna be stuck in a lot of lag and able to set up a punish that's very explosive, and you could lose your stock for that. And you're at 100%, so yeah, you're definitely losing your stock for that, and it's just not worth it. It's really just not worth it. So from my understanding, off the top of my head, there are 6 characters in this game with combat mechanics. We have Sephiroth, One Winged Angel, Wario's Waft, we have Joker, Arsene, Kazuya's demon, whatever that is, I forgot what it's called, Lucario's aura, and Terry's go meter. And the important thing is you have to notice that there are differences in everybody's combat mechanics. In Sephiroth's combat mechanic, he has an additional jump, he gets a buff to his attacks in terms of damage and knockback, and he also gets a gain movement speed, right? Aerial and floor movement speed. However, the consequences are Sephiroth must be at a high percent. His character is a light character, right? He also loses this ability once he takes a stock or gains a lead. So the combat mechanic disappears and he resorts back to his usual self. A lot of the fact that makes his combat mechanic not as good as, not broken, is the fact that his character is light. That is a big part of what makes his combat mechanic, not the best thing. And he also has very slow moves. Next up, we have Wario Swap. So with Wario's Waft, Wario has to go over a set amount of time until he can get a move that's called Waft, right? And he can only use Waft once it's fully charged. I mean, he can't use it before, but the fully charged Waft, it has to be fully charged. He's glowing, fart color or whatever. And he's able to get the explosive Waft, right? And once he uses that Waft, he has to wait for that timer to reset again. It has nothing to do with stock count or his lead or whatever. It's just based off of time. So because of that mechanic, he's able to get really good combos that are able to seal a stock instantly and just make it seem as if your opponent only has 2 stocks versus your 3. Next, we have Joker Arsene, and honestly, I can't even justify this comeback mechanic. I think it's just the best one in the game, kind of broken, but all it does is it gives Joker a boost in all of his attacks for a set amount of time. He also has a way to charge it up with his Rebel's Guard meter. Honestly, I can't really say much about this comeback mechanic because it's actually just completely different from the others in this game. There aren't many drawbacks from it aside from like the recovery and not having a tether. But overall, yeah, it's a pretty busted comeback mechanic that he can get multiple times in one stock. So I don't even, let's just forget that one. All right, next we have Kazuya's demon mode. So when Kazuya goes into this demon rage mode, he's able to get like a boost on his damage. He also gets a new attack that does a lot of damage and a lot of knockback, his command grab. And he also gets a boost in his knockback. Now the good thing about Kazuya's moveset there is the fact that once you're in that demon mode, all your stuff is just enhanced except for your speed on the ground. And the good thing about Kazuya's mechanic is the fact that Kazuya's character is pretty heavy, right? So when he's in his mode, he doesn't have to worry about dying once he received the demon mode. However, he does have to remember the fact that he can lose demon mode as he acquires more damage. So with Kazuya having good frame data, he can keep up with the pace, fight his opponent. He doesn't lose it by burning off a move in the air or whatnot. He's able to keep fighting, and once he's able to convert into a combo, he can get really good damage or even a kill off of that. And that helps a lot with a character who does kind of struggle in neutral, but is really good when they're in their face. Next up, we have Lucario. He has aura, which enhances like a lot of his moves, makes them bigger, makes them stronger. And the good thing about aura is that, yes, it makes Lucario one of the strongest characters in the game. However, there's a really bad side. Lucario has to be basically just being dominated in the game. He has to be getting destroyed. For Lucario, his character's moveset is in the beginning, but once he gets aura, it's ridiculously good. But it requires the Lucario player to lose for his character to be good, which is a huge problem because without losing, your character's not really that useful in your hands. Now the reason why I told you guys all of these comeback mechanics is because of the fact that the main thing about every single comeback mechanic in this game is not the moves that come with it, but the fact that it's what the moves are capable of doing to your opponent. So lastly, we're going to talk about Terry's comeback mechanic, Go. So when you're in Go mode at 100%, you unlock Go. You do not lose Go no matter how many times you get hit until you die with that stock. You can keep it from 100%, you can keep it all the way to 999%. You can keep Go the entire time. You also do not lose Go if you spam your Go buttons. Your power geyser, you can use 1,000,000 power geysers, you can use 1,000,000 Buster Wolves, you will not lose Go. Now that is different from a lot of other characters because usually if you use your comeback mechanic move, you lose the mechanic. However, in Terry's case, you don't lose it because you don't get like a speed boost. You don't get a move you can use in the air. You really don't get much. You don't get like an attack knockback boost or a damage boost. It's just you get 2 additional explosive moves into your moveset that are pretty laggy, but they're really good for trying to bring comebacks into the game instantly. Now, the reason I told you guys about all these comebacks and listed them down the line was because of the fact that every single comeback mechanic I told you about is very detrimental to these characters' game plan. But the main thing that I love about comeback mechanics that a lot of people need to understand is that a comeback mechanic should not change your game plan entirely to be focused on that comeback mechanic. Because if you do that, your opponent is already looking out for you to do that and becomes too obvious. Your game plan becomes too straightforward. Honestly, it's just really easy to read. So for you as a player that is playing a character with a comeback mechanic, you need to know the power your comeback mechanic comes with. You're able to be in your opponent's head the entire time. They want to make sure that they're not afraid of your mechanic. They're afraid of what your mechanic is capable of. They don't want you to land your attacks and start exploding their damage and bringing the gap behind them, gap between them back instantly. So in this game, if you're playing Terry, for example, you have Go 3 times per game usually. Because Terry's character is pretty heavy, so you will be able to live to 100% pretty frequently. So your first stock should be devoted entirely to knowing how your opponent plays once you get Go. Once you know their habits and how they react to you having Go, you can instantly mow them down later on into the third stock. You're going to be adapting and acquiring knowledge about how they play slowly throughout the game. You don't want to keep mashing your Go buttons and burn them off. Like, it's okay to use Power Geyser as a way to ledge trap just so it's safer because of the fact that they also are going to be in end lag for the choices that they make at ledge. But you also don't want to keep spamming it, but it's okay to use it there raw, without having to do it and confirm it from another input or a tilt. But otherwise than that, you want to make sure you're very conservative with your Go moves. Go is a very detrimental part to Terry's moveset, but I also need to mention the fact that Terry's moveset is astonishingly good. Like, his moveset is really, really good without Go. Like, without Go, Terry's still a pretty good character. Go just makes him even better. So you don't need to land your Go attacks to make a comeback with Terry. He's very explosive on his own. He gets damaged really fast on his own. Go is just there to help you cheat even more. So to conclude this video, when you're playing Terry and you have Go, do not make your game plan entirely focused on Go. Once you have Go, you can change up your combos to exploit them, get more damage, but your neutral needs to remain sort of the same. You have to make sure that the entire way you're playing this game is just to make your opponent uncomfortable and have them slip up. Once you have them slip up, you can literally just bring the comeback back easily. You don't have to sweat it, but make sure you're not focused entirely on using Go. You'll miss out on so many opportunities if you just put your mind to a narrow path instead of just branching out and seeing every path ahead of you. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later.